He took everything from me. He lied. He used me. And now he's kicked me out like some stranger." That was the scream. The one that echoed through the upscale streets of Montecito, caught not by a news anchor, but by a neighbor's hidden ring camera. A woman who once graced the covers of royal magazines now stood barefoot on the pavement outside the gates of a $14 million estate, her designer handbags swinging wildly, her face contorted in rage. Meghan Markle, the Duchess who once declared she'd rewritten royal history, had just been evicted. And the person behind that decision? Her husband, Prince Harry. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. But the headlines didn't catch the worst part. Because just moments later, Meghan turned not on the security guards who escorted her off the property, but on Harry himself. Not just with words, but with venom, threats, and a string of accusations that left even her closest allies in shock. What happened behind those mansion walls? Why did Harry, a man who defied his own family for Meghan, suddenly pull the plug? And what secrets did Meghan threaten to expose in retaliation? You're about to find out. But brace yourself, because this isn't a love story gone wrong. This is a royal battleground, built on silence, secrets, and one final betrayal that shattered whatever was left between them. This isn't Montecito anymore. It's a war zone. And you won't believe how deep this rabbit hole goes. They were the couple that broke all the rules and rewrote their own. From the balcony of Buckingham Palace to the sunlit terraces of California, Meghan and Harry painted a picture of escape, of freedom, of building a life on their own terms. No titles, no palace drama. Just palm trees, podcasts, and philanthropy. That was the fantasy, until everything began to collapse. Netflix bailed. Spotify ghosted. Book sales stalled. Public opinion soured. And suddenly, the $100 million lifestyle started to look like a house of cards. The facade was cracking. But no one expected it to collapse this violently. Not even Meghan. What started as a fairy tale ended with sirens, suitcases, and a screaming match that shook the royal narrative to its core. So what triggered the fall? It wasn't just money. It was betrayal. Deep, personal betrayal. The kind you don't come back from. The kind that turns lovers into enemies. And at the center of it all, a man torn between loyalty and liberation. And a woman with nothing left to lose. Let's rewind. Montecito, the safe haven, the fortress of their post-royal lives. Secluded, sun-soaked, and brimming with luxury. 10 bedrooms. A private theater. A rose garden modeled after a palace in Tuscany. Meghan once described it as peace. Harry said it felt like home. But behind the rose vines and stone fountains was something else. Silence. The kind that eats away at a relationship when the world stops watching. Reports say Harry had been sleeping in the guest wing for weeks. That the staff noticed his routines changing. That the laughter disappeared. And then came the lawyers. Quiet at first, but relentless. Because Harry wasn't just walking away from Meghan. He was reclaiming control. Sources close to the situation claim Meghan was blindsided. That she believed she held the cards, emotionally, financially, legally. But what she didn't know was this. Harry had been preparing for this day for months. The sale of Montecito was just the beginning. What followed was a strategic unraveling of everything they had built together. Projects, branding, finances, even custody arrangements. And then came the final blow. A legal notification slipped under Meghan's bedroom door. Your presence on the property is no longer permitted. And in that moment, something inside her snapped. Why does this matter? Why now? Because the world bought into their story. The brave prince and the independent duchess, walking away from a rigid monarchy to pursue authenticity and impact. They were praised, defended, idolized. For a time, they won. But as with all tales spun too tightly, truth eventually claws its way to the surface. This isn't just about Meghan and Harry anymore. It's about what happens when power, privacy, and partnership collide in the public eye. It's about image, and what happens when the mask slips. It's about the chaos of secrets kept too long, and the consequences when they're unleashed all at once. And most importantly, it's about who walks away with the truth, and who walks away with nothing. Because according to multiple insiders, Meghan left Montecito not just without a home, but without leverage. Without files. Without footage. Without the very tools she'd spent years collecting for the next chapter. And that, was the final humiliation. But what pushed Harry to act? What made the man who gave up his titles, his homeland, and his security finally draw the line? The answer may lie in a set of encrypted emails discovered just days before the eviction. Emails that referenced a secret project, one Meghan never told Harry about. A project involving unreleased footage, hidden microphones, and a potential second documentary aimed not at the royal family, but at Harry himself. When he found out, he was livid. And when he confronted her, it ended in screaming, broken glass, and security being called. According to staff, that's when Harry made the decision. He wasn't just removing Meghan from Montecito. He was removing her from his life. But Meghan wasn't going quietly. Within hours, she allegedly called her lawyer, a tabloid journalist, and one of her most powerful Hollywood friends, threatening to go public. She said she'd burn it all down, one source claimed. She wasn't bluffing. But Harry had anticipated that too. The vault, their digital storage of shared content, was already locked down. The staff? Replaced. The story? Controlled. But there was one thing Harry couldn't predict. Meghan's next move. And that's where everything spiraled out of control. Now let's pause. Because what comes next is not speculation. It's a documented descent into chaos. You'll hear from the staff who were there the night of the eviction. You'll see the leaked messages that changed the legal strategy. You'll learn why Meghan's own mother may have turned on her, and what Jessica Mulroney is preparing to release. We'll take you inside the Ring camera footage that shows Meghan's fury. The leaked voicemail where she threatens to destroy Harry. The alleged moment she tried to access Invictus donor files. And you'll witness how far one woman can go when she believes she's been wronged by the only man she ever let into her world. This story isn't just breaking. It's unraveling. And if you think the eviction was the end, you're in for a shock. Because what Meghan did next, what she said to the press, who she contacted in the royal family, and the secret footage she's now threatening to leak, would change everything. And no one saw it coming. "You can't do this to me, Harry. I made you." That's what she screamed as the gates shut behind her. Not quietly, not with dignity, but with the force of a woman betrayed, cornered, shocked, and unraveling in real time. But here's the question. Did she really not see this coming? You tell me. Let's rewind just 24 hours. It was a Thursday, quiet in Montecito. Staff had arrived early. A delivery truck was parked at the edge of the estate. Nothing unusual, but insiders say something was off. Harry wasn't in his usual space. He wasn't at the stables. He wasn't in his office. He was missing. And Meghan? She was in the garden, phone glued to her ear, pacing furiously. Neighbors say they heard fragments of the conversation, words like breach, access revoked, unlawful termination. Something was brewing, and by 10:27 a.m., it exploded. According to a source close to the estate's security team, 3 black SUVs pulled into the driveway. Out stepped 2 attorneys and 1 private security supervisor, not the same firm the Sussexes had used before. This was new, and it wasn't there for Meghan. It was there for the transition. Here's where it gets dark. Meghan reportedly believed she was heading out that afternoon to film content for an undisclosed partnership, rumored to be a wellness brand she had aligned with in secret. She had outfits laid out, a stylist scheduled, hair and makeup confirmed. What she didn't expect was an envelope slid under the kitchen door, delivered by hand. No warning. It wasn't just a notice. It was a closure. The document, allegedly signed by Harry's legal team, informed Meghan of 3 things. The property was no longer under shared control. Her access to digital files, internal communications, and staff had been legally terminated. She had 6 hours to vacate the premises or face civil enforcement. And that's when Meghan Markle, the Duchess who once commanded palace halls, became a tenant being removed from her own kingdom. Can you imagine it? The woman who once walked beside the Queen was now walking up and down the hallways of Montecito, yanking clothes off hangers, screaming into her phone, demanding someone reverse this immediately. Staff say she knocked over a lamp. Another claimed she called the gardener a traitor. One even said she hurled a wine glass across the marble countertop, not at a person, but at the silence. Because Harry wasn't there. Not yet. So where was he? According to insiders, Harry was in a secure location just a few miles away, advised by legal counsel to avoid escalation. He didn't want to see the moment unfold, but he knew it had to happen. Because this wasn't just about a breakup. This wasn't even just about money. It was about control. And Harry, for the first time in years, was taking it back. Let's pause here for a second. You might be wondering, how could it come to this? How does a marriage that once made the world cry with joy during their Windsor wedding end with lawyers, cameras, and eviction notices? That's the question Harry's team doesn't want asked. Because the answer is too raw, too real, and possibly too dangerous. But one insider dared to leak what Harry allegedly told his closest friend just days before the eviction. He said, "I don't know who she is anymore. I don't know what's real. And I don't know what she's planning next." Let that sink in. The man who gave up his royal bloodline, security, and global standing, now saying he no longer trusted the woman he gave it up for. And if he didn't trust her, should we? Back to the house. It's now early afternoon, and Meghan is refusing to leave. Sources say she made 6 separate phone calls, 1 to her attorney, 2 to her publicist, 1 to her mother Doria, 1 to an unnamed producer, and the last to a man known only as R. That call lasted 13 minutes. What was said? We don't know. But right after, Meghan reportedly told a staff member, "If he thinks he can silence me, he's in for a war." She wasn't bluffing. At 1:42 p.m., Harry arrived. Not in his usual vehicle. Not with his usual security detail. He arrived alone, silent, with a face described by one witness as stone cold. He didn't enter through the main entrance. He used the side gate, and within minutes, the screaming began. We don't have video from inside the house, but we have audio, because someone inside the estate, leaked a 43-second recording to a tabloid that was quickly scrubbed from the internet, but not before it was downloaded. In the clip, Meghan can be heard shouting, "You used me. You promised me that house. You said it was mine, Harry. You're a coward." To which Harry, in a lower, trembling voice, responds, "You said you wouldn't go that far. You lied. You never needed me. You just needed access. Access. Not love. Not safety. Not even stability. Access." It was like hearing the bottom fall out of everything they ever claimed to be. That's when it all collapsed. Meghan reportedly attempted to lock herself in the upstairs bedroom. Security intervened. She was escorted down, and by 2:26 p.m., Meghan Markle, once a symbol of modern monarchy, was standing at the edge of the estate. No shoes, mascara streaked, red-faced, clutching a tablet, a duffel bag, and a half-torn manila folder labeled "Content." And in that moment, someone across the street began recording. That video would later be leaked to an anonymous Reddit account, where it racked up nearly 18 million views before being taken down. In it, Meghan can be seen screaming toward the gates. "Tell them the truth, Harry. Tell them who you really are. I kept your secrets. I protected you." And then silence. Except for one last line. The one that caught the world's attention. "You'll regret this. I swear on everything I have left, you'll regret this." Now here's where things get even more bizarre. Because as Meghan walked off the property, some say she refused the SUV Harry's team had arranged. She didn't go straight to a hotel. She didn't go to a friend's house. She went somewhere unexpected. She went to the office of a very specific entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles. A lawyer known for representing public figures during smear campaigns. A lawyer once linked to several high-profile defamation suits. Why? Why would Meghan, in the heat of heartbreak, go straight to someone known not for family law or real estate, but reputation warfare? What did she plan to do? Or maybe the better question is, what did she already have? Because just hours later, an anonymous user submitted a document to several gossip sites claiming to have explosive unseen footage that will destroy Harry's credibility forever. The footage was not released yet, but one of the outlets received a threatening cease and desist from a UK law firm just 36 hours later, a law firm representing none other than Prince Harry. Coincidence? Or damage control? And if there is footage, what does it show? Whatever it is, Meghan believed it was enough to flip the narrative, to paint herself not as a scorned wife, but as a wronged whistleblower. In the following 48 hours, multiple gossip blogs began releasing curated leaks. That Meghan was evicted without cause. That Harry had been exhibiting erratic behavior. That staff feared for Meghan's emotional safety. But the truth? It didn't line up. Because in a surprising twist, 3 former employees of the Sussex household broke their silence, anonymously, but consistently, to say something different. They claimed Meghan's behavior had become unpredictable, manipulative, and even dangerous in the weeks leading up to the eviction. One said, she knew something was coming. She was prepping for it. Not emotionally, but strategically, like someone planning a counterattack. And maybe she was. Because Meghan never does anything without thinking 10 moves ahead. The question is, did Harry finally outplay her? Or did he just light the fuse for the next explosion? Because as Meghan left Montecito that day, she made a call to someone we didn't expect. And what they said to her may have changed everything.